Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me wherever you are joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. If you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Lots of things coming this week. Obviously, if you're a Giants fan, go check out the new webcast that just dropped yesterday. Mondays at 6 o'clock every Monday, a new episode of a Giant issue. Make sure you go and check that out if you're a Giants fan. Also, make sure you're checking for any of my stuff on giantscountry.com. I've got an article coming from The Athletic this week, dealing with some of the draft fallout and some of those guys that from G5 conferences or FCS gyms that may have found. So make sure you check those out when they drop later on this week. Also, Zebra Stripes podcast will be back this week. Myself, Coach Witt, going on everything. I'm pretty sure we're probably going to talk a lot about the Celtics because he's a Celtics fan. Make sure you check that out. Also, Gene Therapy podcast and column will be out again today. Talking USFL football and how they need to really look into being different than what we see on a regular Sunday. So a lot of things coming down the pipe. Make sure you're checking it out. One thing that came down the pipe yesterday, as news broke, the NCAA's Board of Governance, the Board of Directors, issued the name, image, and likeness guidance for schools. Now, I want to read you part of this because I think it's important to make sure that we understand that words have powers. None of you know, my background is in writing, but I also teach English. And what I always try to tell my students to look at is I want you to look at what they're getting at. I was just having a conversation with another teacher, and we were talking about you always want to know what's their end game. What are they trying to do? So you have to look and listen to the words that they use, because that's important. That's why I want to read this directly from the NCAA website. This is ncaa.org. The title of the article, if you want to go and check it out yourself, D1 Board of Directors issues name, image, and likeness guidance to schools. It says that the board supports continued opportunities for student athletes, right? But it says it issued guidance to schools regarding the intersection between recruiting activities and the name, image, and likeness environment. So immediately I hear, okay, they don't like the fact that teams are using, or that people, not even the schools necessary, but that people within the framework of the school and that particular team are using the name, image, and likeness as a means to recruit players. And immediately my response is, well, what did you think was going to happen? Of course, they're going to use the name, image, and likeness as a way of recruiting players, the same way that they use the gym, the same way that they use the locker rooms, the same way that they use the football field, the same way that they use the quad and all of the girls that are on the quad, or all the guys that are on the quad. Everything is a recruiting tool because the school has to use whatever resources it has to get these players to want to choose them over the 100+ other options out there. And if you're talking about all levels, the 500, 600, 700 other options out there to go to school. Of course they're going to use it. Why would they not use it? Here's what I'm hearing. Oh, we don't want these kids to have the power to demand things. That's what I hear. Hey, we want to eliminate these things so we lessen these kids' power. I'm going to read on, though. I'm going to jump down. It says, the guidance is intended to provide clarity for those engaging in a rapidly evolving NIL environment, acknowledging that the environment will continue to evolve and ongoing attention will be needed to ensure student athletes are able to benefit from these opportunities. Student athletes are already benefiting from these opportunities. So why do you need to check anything? Let's just say, worst case scenario, right? That boosters and people who are involved, who like a team, but aren't necessarily directly involved with the team, are funneling NIL deals to get players to come to the school. They still only have so many scholarships, right? So from a standpoint of that, they can't just go ham, go rogue, right? But who does that hurt? The argument can be made that the bigger schools, the richer schools, the schools that put more money into the program, they're going to have an unfair advantage. But the truth is those schools have already had an unfair advantage forever. Alabama is throwing more money at recruiting than anyone else outside of Georgia. Georgia's throwing more money at recruiting than anyone in the country. The recruiting budget is nearly double of what most other programs are putting into their recruiting budget. They've already had an unfair advantage, except all that money was being filtered through to the school in order to entice the player. And now this money is being given directly to the player to entice it. Which one do you think I like more? The one where the kid has to say, hey, or where the people have to say, hey, kid, look at where all this money you're generating is going to. Or the one that says, hey, kid, here's some money. Give me the, hey, kid, here's some money. I have a real issue with victimless crimes. I have a real issue with victimless crimes because these things make it seem as if someone is doing something bad. But nothing's bad. Nothing's wrong. These are victimless crimes. And because they're victimless crimes, you people should not be concerned with it. Go back to trying to find ways to put more money into women's sports. Go in and try to find more ways to upgrade facilities at the sports that are not heavily revenue generating, like football, like big time basketball. Find ways to enhance the student experience. That should be your job. People are asking for mental health, counselors to be on hand. How about you hire one? Don't even let the schools have to do it. You, NCAA, you go out. You hire these people. You employ them. You send them to the schools. You know why you employ them? Because now that counselor doesn't feel beholden to the school. By the way, this is something I believe that they should do with athletic trainers as well. Instead of having the athletic trainer be an employee of the school, the athletic trainer should be an employee of the NCAA, and the schools should pay the NCAA. That way, those athletic trainers don't feel beholden to the school, so that they can operate without worrying about the backlash from a coach or from an athletic director who may not like a decision that they make on a player. That's one thing. So I think if you're going to add, and you should add a mental health expert to a staff, it should come through the NCAA, so that, again, there is no feeling that they need to be attached with the coach or with the athletic director, so that they can operate without having to worry about backlash. I digress. So this name, image, and likeness that they're now trying to say, hey, we just care about the kids. We want to make sure they can take advantage of it, while they're actually taking advantage of it, sounds disingenuous. They're already taking advantage of it. It says today, the Division I Board of Directors took a significant first step to address some of the challenges and improper behaviors that exist in the name, image, and likeness environment that may violate our long-established recruiting rules. While the NCAA may pursue the most outrageous violations that were clearly contrary to the interim policy adopted last summer, our focus is on the future. The new guidance establishes a common set of expectations for the Division I institutions moving forward, and the board expects all Division I institutions to follow our recruiting rules and operate with these reasonable expectations. So in other words, these schools have found a way to hustle to get more money into players' hands to entice them to come to their school, and the NCAA doesn't like it. And let's be real about it. It's not that the NCAA doesn't like it. It's that people who have no association with the schools or the students don't like it. And so then the pressure comes. We hear all of these writers out here, these journalists, whom I don't know why they care about how much a kid is offered from a school or a school's like environment to come and play ball there. But they care. And so they're constantly writing articles and doing posts on social media about how strange it is, or was this the intent of an NIL deal? Ladies and gentlemen, the intent of an NIL deal is to put money in the pockets of the players. Why is this so difficult to understand? Hey, NCAA, guess what? We see right through you. You're not going to keep this amateurism forever. Sorry. Your days of free labor, they are numbered. And you're going to start having to take some of that money in this billion-dollar business, and you're going to have to start paying the workers. Because NIL deals, to me, was never enough. The NIL deal was a step towards what we know is the truth, which is these are professional athletes, and they need to be paid as if they are professional athletes, playing at a level below the top level. So I don't think that it's necessary that these kids be paid millions of dollars by schools, because they're at a secondary level. However, if some of them are able to garner NIL deals in the millions of dollars, good for them. But the players should be paid. They deserve to be paid. They will one day be paid. And every time the NCAA brings out new legislature talking about, well, we don't want boosters or people who have constructed these companies that are there to help get NIL deals for players. So now you don't want anyone that's actually brought a company together to get NIL deals for players to have any contact with players. How in the hell is that going to work? What kind of sense does that make? If they can't have any contact with the players when they're trying to get NIL deals for the players, then what you're saying is you don't want them to exist, which means you don't want there to be an easy, viable way for these players to get NIL deals. The next level of thing will be, the NIL deal that a player gets will go into a pot, and then the pot will be evenly distributed amongst you cannot regulate an individual player's worth. You cannot continue to put roadblocks up to them getting this money. And if you start giving violations to schools who have found a way to get money into the hands of players, then you are as awful as the people you are trying to go after. The NCAA needs to get their head out of their keister, understand that this is not about them. This is about the players. It's the players that are the ones out there sweating, giving up enormous amounts of their time, giving up all of the health of their bodies. These football players, these basketball players, these cheerleaders, these volleyball players, these gymnasts, these swimmers. Missy Franklin, for the record, by the way, if you guys don't know, Missy Franklin was a young lady who was a phenomenal swimmer and wanted to go to college really bad. But she was also the most famous swimmer in the world outside of Michael Phelps. She had a phenomenal Olympics. And then instead of going pro because she wanted to go to college, she went to Stanford, I believe, Stanford or Cal. I can't remember right now, but she went to college. And because she was in college, she could not take advantage of any of her endorsement deals. This is the most famous women's swimmer in the world who, for 3 years, just had to be a college swimmer and not take advantage of the millions upon millions of dollars that she could have garnered in endorsement deals because she had to abide by the NCAA rules. If this NIL deal was in place before that happened, then she could have been able to go to college, be a collegiate, and still get all of her endorsement money. How is that a bad thing? Because you know what happened 4 years later? Her body's worn out. That college swim team ran her into the ground like they run every other swimmer into the ground. They didn't have her best interest at heart when it came to trying to prepare her for the next Olympics. They just wanted to win conference and national titles. That was their goal, and that should be their goal, right? That should be. This is not a diss on the team. This is what they're supposed to do. But by the time she got back to the pool for the next Olympics, it was already over for her. She wasn't nearly the same swimmer that she was at 18, at 17 years old when she was 22. 21, 22. It's that quick. Not everybody has the longevity of a Michael Phelps. Not everybody's able to do it for 4 Olympics. Some people get one shot, one try, one opportunity. And once it's gone, it's gone. So these young men and these young women who get the opportunity to make money off their star, they should not be limited in any kind of way. And if a team has brokered a deal between boosters or between a company that can put millions of dollars into a player's hands because they deserve it, because their talent has earned them that, who are you to say that it's wrong? This is yet another way of control, yet another way to keep that shackle on your player, to keep that free labor working for free. You've already put an NIL deal in place where you, NCAA, and the subsequent universities don't have to pay any money to the players. They're still free labor. They're still working for free. When you guys talk about their NIL deals, remember, that's a name, image, and likeness. They can't even do things in their uniforms. They can't even do things in their uniforms. That name, image, and likeness deal that they signed, that's only for them as the person, as that person, not attached to the team. So don't try to act like you're paying them now. They're still working for you for free. So if you're going to start limiting their name, image, and likeness opportunities because you don't like the unfair advantage that it gives, even though you have teams out here rolling around in $100 million facilities and other teams rolling around in $5 and $10 million rundown shackles. That's not how it's going to work. Your time is up, NCAA. It's time for you to step aside. This is going to end poorly. You can either be on the side of progress or you're going to be on the side of the oppressor. You choose. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. We do this thing a few times a week. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. If you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Until tomorrow, peace.